But we're not going to use Drake, right? Because Drake likes to kill people. Drivers Mate podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, share if you can. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps keep unscripted, small YouTube channels and creators, real people permeating the internet and your algorithm, right? And it not only helps me, it helps other people like me with real content and real channels not be suppressed by the algorithm and the bigger YouTube scripted channels, right? So check me out on Instagram and TikTok, Patreon, Threads, Twitter, whatever you want. Reach out if you want me to react to something, if you want me to speak about something, let me know, alright? But today I'm going to get into another reaction style video, right? And these seem to be quite, people like these, right? So I'm going to do more of them. So today what I usually do is I just pick a YouTube short at random, and then I give you my initial reaction, and then I'll speak a little bit about it if I have an opinion. So I don't always have an opinion, surprisingly. Alright, let's go.
What do you think about artists like, you know, I know like Drake and your
oh, not music industry talk.
Are you cool with that?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. Of course, we'd love to see the artists pay homage. You know, and definitely we'd love to see them even work with some Jamaican talent in terms of either producers or artists or whatever. But in general, I'm cool with it. It's a good indicator that people are fans of our music. The best form of flattery is imitation, you know. So I'm cool with it. What do you think about artists like...
Okay, that was a weird one, isn't it? So, I do try to stray away from music industry talk here for a very good reason, right? But the algorithm gods have spoken, so we shall commentate, right? So that looks like an interview of Damien Marley, Bob Marley's son, right? On, it looks like The Breakfast Club, right? DJ Envy's asking him, what do you think about artists stealing the culture, right? Stealing culture. Basically, that's what he's saying. He's talking about culture vulture. And ironically, he used Drake, right? And that looks like quite an old interview, so what are you using Drake for, bruv? But anyway, Drake, if I commentate on you, bruv, don't kill me, right? Don't XXX Tentacion me, right? I'm just making YouTube content. Right? Yeah? Anyway, so what do I think about artists taking from different cultures, right, and making music? It's a sticky one still, right? Because sometimes it works very well and other times it works really badly, right? Sometimes it's really cringe. And I know on the internet we say the cringe will set you free, but sometimes the cringe will not set anything free, right? It will trap you in a doomed cycle, right? So let's just say, all right, we'll give Drake a blight, right? Because even though Drake is half Jewish, half black, right, he has a mixed culture, right? So his dad and that are musicians from America, Houston, right? And they have a rich culture in music already, right? And he's also a Canadian. So in Canada, there's a lot of West Indian people because it's a Commonwealth country like England, right? Well, like, so Jamaica is a Commonwealth country and Canada is a Commonwealth country because they're English territories, right? So just as a simple fact of that, it's easier for people in the Caribbean to get passports and go overseas into these countries, right? Based on that territorial history, right? So there's obviously a very rich West Indian culture in Canada, right? Just like there's areas where there's a very rich French culture in Canada too, right? For other reasons, historical reasons, right? But we're not going to use Drake, right? Because Drake likes to kill people. I'm joking, right? But anyway, moving on. Sometimes in music it is cool, right? If people are really entrenched in the culture and it's actually their history and music they actually listen to growing up, right? Things they've actually played and practiced, then yes, incorporate it, because music is a melting pot of all different cultures, all different sounds, all different instruments, right? But it's another thing when your record label or your average pop act sees that this kind of music over here is doing well, right? So for instance, your Afro beats, right, stuff like that, and then you get them corpos, right, infiltrating the culture, really culture vulturing, stealing the sound, stealing all of the lingo and all of that, and then creating this manufactured, terrible, watered down product to sell to the unknowing masses, right? So it is when that happens, right? It's really bad when that happens. And only, like, I hate to call myself a purist, but only people with a good musical understanding, a history understanding of music and culture will be able to spot that and call it out, right? That is not of the culture. But the average Joe doesn't know and doesn't care, right? Your average person actually listens to the radio, right? Your average person actually listens to Spotify playlists, right? Because they don't care to act, they're not interested. So if I'm honest, right, we'll say a casual fan that doesn't actually like music, right? A casual fan just enjoys music, right? Let's be honest here. If you like something, you look into it a bit more than the surface level, and you do more than what your neighbour's doing and your friends doing, right? You go and find things you like. So I'm not talking to you, the real musicians and real fans of music, that know what you're listening to. You know what you're doing, right? You know what you're putting in your ears. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the general person, right? That just jumps in the van, switches on the radio, and whatever the radio's playing is whatever he'll listen to. And if he hears it 1,000 times in a day, he'll remember the song for the rest of his life, right? I'm talking to that person. Yes, those artists and those big people are stealing culture, right? And they're making it bad for some people. But other people, they can get away with it, right? Because they're of the culture to an extent, right? So reggae is a very sensitive topic for me particularly, right? Because my dad was a reggae musician, right? And I saw him build bands, play the real reggae, roots reggae music, right? And listen to it, entrenched in it, record after record, video after video, practice after practice, stage show after stage show, right? I saw it, right? I understand it. I know the culture. I'm of that culture, but it's not something I practice as an adult, right? So reggae is very sensitive to me. And growing up, I could always see how reggae was like watered down and then put over here to sell this, put over there to sell that, right? And it was really terrible. But to the average person, they don't know that it's really terrible. They don't understand that this music, what it means, is getting watered down and used for the absolute opposite of what it was intended for, right? Just like jazz, just like rock and roll, like all of these things have deep, rich histories, and it means something, right? Although we're in the age of everybody's mixed, everybody shares, every genre has a history, right? Every genre has its originators and innovators that made it what it was, right? So what we have today is really just imitation, right? And although Damien Marley said imitation is the greatest form of flattery, someone that's educated on reggae and Jamaican culture would also tell you Damien Marley is an imitation of his father, right? And his father's peers. Just like Bob Marley was an imitation of Americans, right? And rock and roll, right? All of them borrow from each other, right? Up and up the lineage. So many of you may not even know that, may not even understand that perspective, right? Bob Marley as an artist did not start out with dreadlocks singing reggae songs, right? He did not. He started out singing like not blues, but like doo-wop, barbershop kind of music, right? American cultured music. And then when the roots reggae, right, began to permeate more in Jamaica and in the Caribbean, that's when Bob Marley switched over and decided to become a Rasta and do reggae music, making him the biggest artist in that genre at the time, right? But like I said, the history of it is very deep and complex, because there are people in Jamaica and there are people entrenched in the music itself that would tell you, right, Bob Marley is also a culture vulture, right? But the general public isn't ready for that conversation yet, right? And just to break it down a bit more, where you get mixed race artists, right? And it's for a reason, right? And you'll notice this trend. Your mixed race artists usually tend to dominate the most, right? And it's because of this. They're bridging that culture, right? And they're like a middle ground, right? So Bob Marley is half white, half black, right? Drake is half white, half black. J. Cole, half white, half black, right? We can go on and go on in the black world, right? Even though we share these artists with the world, right? Because who are we to tell the world, no, you can't listen to them, they're us? Like, that's like white people saying, you can't listen to Eminem, he's us, right? And we'll be like, piss off, bro. Eminem's as much us as he is you, right? So there's that. There's a reason that the culture accepts these kinds of people because they're able to pull from both sides. But at the same time, there's a set of people, or purists you would call, that would say, no, look, this is the history of this music. He's stealing this from here, he's taking that from there. And all of these things are culture vultured from these groups of people that have no historical fame, right? They have no credit, but they are the creators, right? And many people that are really serious about music will tell you that. So, without me getting too deep, this is why I don't like to speak about music industry politics too much, because there's a lot of nuance to it, there's a lot of understanding that goes under the radar, but to people that haven't researched and don't really understand music, the true musicality of genres, right? So, to bring it back down to bass, right? Yes, it's cool that big artists promote different genres sometimes, right? But it's not cool when they misuse the genre and they belittle the culture it comes from, right? They dismiss it just for the benefit of their self and their group of people. That's never cool, right? You don't have to pay homage, right? I'm not telling anybody to do anything, because you don't. Realistically, in the world, as big men and women, we don't have to do anything, right? Truthfully, we can do whatever we want, as I always say, right? So they don't have to do anything. They don't even have to acknowledge where they get their shit from. They don't. The truth of the matter is, culture vulturing is a thing. In music, in entertainment, in fashion, even in buildings, right? In architecture, right? It's a thing, right? So we take some of this Asian architecture, take some of this African architecture, we take some of this European architecture, and we make something new, right? Simple stuff. We all understand it, right? But at the same time, just be aware of when you're listening to or indulging in fraudulent versions of something, right? Things that are not done from a good place. They're not being done from the right frame of mind and the right place, right? And it permeates our radios, our TVs all the time. It shows certain types of people in a certain light and other types of people in another light, right? You must educate yourself if you care to be. Like, the responsibility of freedom is hyper-vigilance all the time. It's to be vigilant. That is your responsibility if you take your freedom and truth and justice seriously. You must be responsible and vigilant. But if not, just entertain and try not to take it too hard, right? That's all I would say. But you let me know in the comments what you think. Once again, did I overanalyze? Did I give too much perspective? Or am I on the money, right? Is it okay for people to culture vulture? Is it not okay? Where do we draw the line? And can you actually own culture, right? Because that is a real thing. You can't own culture. You can participate in culture, but you can't own it, right? But you let me know what you think, okay? Should we be policing people's want to do other genres, right? And another thing on the reggae topic, right? This is going to be quite controversial. I like Sting, right? The artist Sting from the Police, right? Sting is very much influenced by reggae. Just out and out. If you understand reggae and you know where it comes from and the sounds and the rhythmic syncopation, right? Sting is very much influenced by reggae. But the thing is, when Sting does a song, it doesn't sound like real reggae, right? Their beat is slightly off. Their swing is slightly off of the roots rock reggae one drop or whatever, right? So it is culture vulturing, but it's homage at the same time, right? We know that Sting's influenced by this, so we're not mad at Sting. Do you understand? So anyway, it's just an opinion. You let me know if you think I'm right or I'm wrong. To be honest, I don't care what you think. No, I'm joking. I do care what you think, but I don't care to get too deep into the music industry side of it, right? I might be a bit jaded, yeah? But okay, my opinion might be a bit jaded, but let me know what you think, right? Thank you for watching Drivers Mate Podcast. Check me out on Instagram, TikTok, Threads. You can now check me out on Patreon too and request videos, or I'll do topics, reviewing things and reacting to things if you would like, right? Go and get your exclusive content over there. Other than that, I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching Drivers Mate Podcast, and we're out.